Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. NVIDIA made some recovery yesterday and also made some sideways movement today. And this is in line with my expectation as I shared in my previous video. In this video, we'll discuss the potential for NVIDIA to go up further or can it make another drop in next few days. Now, let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 145.11. It made a high 146.54. It made a low 143.95 and it closed at 145.06. That is 0.048% down. So in other words, it's almost flat, right? But overall, you see the movement, lots of volatility and ups and downs. So no clarity of direction. And this is what I mentioned in my previous video that by the end of this week, Nvidia should close positive and will be making some sideways or volatile movement. And if we go on further, last 5 days, Nvidia is positive 6.07% up, and last 6 months, you see Nvidia is still up 19.8%. And year to date, you see that Nvidia was able to go above 200% in last 10 months. So with that being said, yes, there is some correction due on Nvidia before the next earnings. But when that gonna happen is hard to predict. But overall, it was not a bad day for the tech and the AI stocks. So if you take a look at my watch list, most of the stocks are green today with the exception of AMD, Avago, NVIDIA, and SMCI. But SoundHound, you see that 31% up. Tesla also about 3% up. Amazon is also up, and Apple is also up. And Palantir continues to go up. Another about 3% today. So now it's trending about 72.07 after hours. But if you take a look overall market, it was a mixed day today. For example, S&P went down about 0.19%, but Nasdaq was up about 0.54%. And again, Dow Jones is down about 0.55%. So you see that S&P was down, Nasdaq was up, and Dow Jones was down. So kind of mixed reaction in the market today. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia and other AI stocks. At this point, Nvidia forward P is at 40.41. Not a big change from last week. It was 39.96. Palantir continues to go up. At this point, the forward P is 211.38. And I'm hearing that Palantir still has more potential to go further up. SMCI at this point forward P 12.95. SMCI made a very good movement early this week and now it's making some correction, but I'm still positive that SMCI has more potential to go further up in next few days or weeks. AMD at this point forward P 31.91, higher than the last week closing, and also AMD has more potential to go further up before the next earnings. So if AMD forward P goes below 30, that makes AMD a very attractive buy. Now let's take a look quarterly percentage distribution analysis for Nvidia. You see on your screen the adjusted closing price for Nvidia percentage increase per day and overall cumulative percentage change for this quarter after the previous earnings. At this point, the cumulative percentage change for NVIDIA is minus 0.328%. So you can see that almost flat. It started with negative and it went up to 0.7% negative sometime last week, and now is 0.328% down. So this tells that yes, Nvidia has some potential to go further down, but it managed to do some recovery this week. Based on the previous quarter min max, you see that in the last quarter, Nvidia minimum percentage down based on the cumulative percentage was 12.81%, and the highest on the maximum was 25.7%. So yes, Nvidia can go further up before the next earnings also, and also at the same time there is some potential to go further down. So tomorrow also I'm expecting some sideways movement for Nvidia, not a big change on the upper side or the lower side. That's my expectation for tomorrow. Now let's take a look technical charts for Nvidia. You see a 180-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also the Fibonacci levels. The next level of support based on the Fibonacci levels is at 140.61, and that is based on 23% Fibonacci retracement. Nvidia is trading around 144 at this point, and if Nvidia goes down after 140, the next level of support is at 133. And in my opinion, that's a very strong support level. So if Nvidia goes down further below 140, I'm planning to buy more Nvidia stock around 133. But in my opinion, the chances of Nvidia going down below 140 in next few days is low. On the other side, the next level of resistance is at 152.89, and that is based on all-time high. Now let's take a look Bollinger Bands for Nvidia. You see Bollinger Bands on your screen, and you can notice that the gap between the upper band and the lower band is almost flat, is neither expanding nor contracting. So this tells that the momentum for the upside or the downside movement at this point is very weak. So Nvidia is waiting for some kind of news or data that can take it further high or further down. At this point, there is no such catalyst that can make this happen. And for yesterday, you see that the gap between the upper band and the lower band was expanding. So there was good momentum yesterday, and also similar situation you see on Monday. There was some upside movement. Now let's take a look some news regarding Nvidia. You see some news regarding Nvidia for today on your screen. I do not see any significant or big news regarding Nvidia, kind of generic news at this point. And most of the news are talking about Nvidia to open a Vietnam R&D center to further boost AI development. So that's a good sign. Nvidia keeps expanding to other countries. If I scroll down further, I do not see any news regarding Nvidia at this point. So all news are pretty generic. So nothing much for Nvidia at this point. So that's why I said before, there is no such catalyst at this point for Nvidia. So that's why Nvidia is moving like sideways today and also somewhat yesterday in the afternoon as well. And there is some AI conference or summit supposed to happen next week, and that's this one. But I don't think this can impact Nvidia big time next week because this is not a regular AI conference that happens every year. The next big AI conference is sometime end of Q1, and that is GTC conference. And regarding the economic data, I think this one is important. That's going to be published on Friday, that is tomorrow in the morning. Let's take a look the historical data regarding employment. So you see that unemployment rate for the last few cycles. The last cycle, the actuals came 4.1% versus forecast 4.1%. And this cycle, the forecast is 4.2%. So basically, we are expecting unemployment to go further up this month. And before that, last few cycle, you see that it's ranging between 4.1 and 4.3. So not a major change from month over month. And regarding the non-farm payroll, and that measures the change in the number of people employed during the previous month. The forecast is 202K for this cycle versus the prior cycle. The actuals came 12K versus the forecast 106K. So last cycle probably was an anomaly, such a low number, but in the prior cycles, it ranges between 100 to 260K. The actual in this cycle maybe can come below 200K in my opinion. So if the non-farm payrolls comes higher than the forecast, in my opinion, that will be a good news for the market because that would tell the job market is expanding. So in the expansion economy, if the job market expands, in general, it's a good news for the market. I guess that's all about my analysis and assessment regarding NVIDIA for today and next few days. I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.